Breathe. Close your eyes.
This is Mary Moses, and this is the Art of Seeing. So we're presenting the rainbow body and the 7 steps, 7 chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 scrolls to gain the eternal ethereal body, immortality, the philosopher's stone, all of the things that basically transforms the human flesh into an eternal spirit that is following the path of God. So these go back to ancient texts and ancient things. And so what I like to do with my art is present them visually. And my art is a little whimsical because the way that I see truth is by covering a piece of oak wood, dead wood, which resembles the flesh. And I bring to life the teachings of the ancients, and I bring forth messages that I hope to enlighten with light on your head and inspire us all to merge the teachings of Egypt, the Bible, and Buddhism, and all of these, and understand that it's all one, it's all the same. There shouldn't be a judgment. And also to reinforce that pathway, the way, truth, and the life of either Christ or Buddha, or whomever is bringing forth a truth that it helps us all to become more as one and to transform. So here we have the root chakra, the root of our path on the human pathway of life. And we awaken, and some of us awaken and decide we want to know the truth because death is always at our door. Most of us don't think about death, don't want to think about death, and we don't want to think about anything because maybe we're really happy with our lives. But some of us has been really abused and really forsaken or hurt or even very ill, where we open up, our third eye becomes open and we begin to question everything. So if you haven't been traumatized, and you don't question and you're just happy like a butterfly, then this message is not for you. This is for truth seekers only, people who really want to know the truth. And so we have the root chakra, and the root chakra, why the hand is out, isn't for everyone. The pathway isn't for everyone. It's only for certain individuals who have to go through the 7 wounds and the 7 stages in order to gain enlightenment at the top. So it's like the tree of life. Inside I have stars, and these starlights represent the morning star. So Jesus said to follow them. Jesus called himself the morning star. But you also have to realize that Lucifer also called himself the morning star. The morning star, if you are on the path, will either lead you to the mindset of Christ, the morning star, or Lucifer, the morning star, which means your mind will be opened up and cut in half, which is what the door is happening here. And although you have your ideal and you have an intention to become the crowned and enlightened one, you will be torn in two with all of your belief systems. And so if you're weak, you'll become the Lucifer, which is the earth and the flesh, or you will become the life, which is Christ and the light. So we have here the philosopher's stone, which is a Himalayan salt, which rubs on your bottom back to encourage the Kundalini awakening of your root chakra. We have the water and the pine. I have a acorn, which is a birthing. This represents water. The frankincense oil represents birthing the way and the truth of the life, like Mary. Frankincense is rubbed on your third eye to open your third eye. And the 3 wise men followed the morning star, or the North Star. And the star, if you cut an apple in half, there's a star. And every single media or book that represents a human being going through an upgrade in consciousness, an upgrade in spirit, is always represented by the apple. And so the colors red and white, Santa Claus, labyrinth, or even just the apple with Dorothy, or Isaac Newton, or Adam and Eve. They were either thrown into or out of raising of consciousness and spiritual expansion, or they were slapped with it like Dorothy, or they were hit in the head with it like Isaac Newton. And so following the star is the initial pathway to enlightenment. But the problem is it stops there. There's nothing up there. But it is the initiation. It is the baptism of submitting your flesh to spirit. And then you go up from there. Up from there, you go up some steps that bring you enlightenment. Okay, let's say 4. And then there's another step. Sometimes people think that tradition and the way to God is through the church system of tongue worshiping and going into a little box like this and really kind of worshiping symbols of people who actually followed Christ. So let's say you really worship Jesus. Like, we really admire that you followed your 7 chakras, your 7 wounds to enlightenment. We really admire Mary. We really admire Saint Agatha. We really admire Buddha. And we admire you so much, we're going to worship you, but we're not going to follow your path. No way. I'm not going to crucify my 7, I'm not going to go through the 7 wounds. I'm not going to face my fears. I'm not going to do it. All I'm going to do is worship you. And people think that it's wise to do that, and it's not. So let's close the door to that. This is a symbol of the temple to enlightenment is within your body, not within a little box called a church. All right, so here we have a female, which is the symbol of anything having to do with emotion, love, peace, forgiveness, all of that. So we have the love, peace, forgiveness female symbol. Her hair is her power, but her hair is also part of the 7 colors of the rainbow, and his sleeves are actually scrolls. So there's 7 scrolls, there's 7 colors of the rainbow, and you can actually go up through the scroll all the way up inside the God mind. So the God mind is colorful, and it's about listening. The God mind is about having your eyes open to the truth. It's also about the fire baptism. So there's a little orange in there. The fire baptism is part of the 7 wound process. We will die of ego, like crucifying our ego like Jesus, or killing the wicked witch like Dorothy, or like Harry Potter died and eventually killed Voldemort, which was his ego. We have to go through facing those fears, and stop being worldly, and stop focusing and diverting our attentions on satisfying our physical body, and actually becoming and submerging our body in spirit in order to go up the 7 scrolls to the God mind, transforming our body through transformation of our mind, ego, and spirit, in order to have the power, really. And a lot of churches, let's open up the church and talk about church. Churches take away our personal power because you're worshiping something that you're not following. So when we worship the way, truth, and the life, it means that we like it, but we don't want to do it. It's like a child that loves living in the big, beautiful home that the daddy built, but he won't do anything for himself. So when we follow the way, truth, and the life, instead of worshiping it, power is something that Jesus said we're supposed to gain through this process. He said we should be as powerful as him and more. We should move mountains. He lets us know that the kingdom of heaven is within us. This is why she has scrolls on her head to enlightenment. And she's showing us the way through the scrolls. And all of these are metaphors. The Bible is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the process. That's why the Christian author wrote the story of Dorothy and wrote her as a female and wrote her as that character and the wounds she had to go through and the people that reflected herself. And Jesus was the same story. And so these are metaphors for the human process, for our enlightenment, for our knowledge, and for us to become the rainbow body, the rainbow spirit body, which was our original body before we incarnated into flesh. So, if that makes any sense to you, I hope it does. The crown of enlightenment is the Godhead and the God mind, which is what we all strive to be enlightened and to fill ourselves up with light in order to awaken and energize our spirit, which is dead, until we baptize ourselves with spirit and go through the fire of baptism. There's a second baptism, and the second baptism is the baptism of fire, and that one really sucks because we are having to face a lot of fears, just like Atreyu on the Neverending Story, seeing the self-reflection of his mirror, going through the swamp of sadness. He went through 7 wounds in order to realize that he was nothing. And then when he accepted he was nothing, and that God was everything, that he was nothing, he was able to let go. Like Jesus said, let go of all attachments in order to get through the eye of the needle. So once we let go of all of our attachments in order to go through that small doorway, and when we become nothing, we become neutral in between 2 scrolls, 2 poles. We become down neutral in between the 2 faces. Once we become neutral, then we can have the energy and the power to do things, because we realize then that we are part of God and the Holy Spirit, and that we have to obey spirit, not flesh. And it's a really amazing story, and it's being told over and over and over again in our faces through even the movie Annie, even Labyrinth, even Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all of these shows that inspire us and make us feel something. It's because it is the human path, the pathway to becoming our rainbow body, which I'm sure we dearly miss. Thank you so much for watching.